canto number 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter number 31, Narada instruct the Prachetas, and today we are in text number 11. So let's start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
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 Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Braj Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana
Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura
Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Jayam Pad Paramam Saparivirajacharya Ashtotra Sadashi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
ISKCON BBT founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Vishnupad Paramam Saprivirajacharya Ashtotra Sadashi Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Krishna Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Thakur Ki Jai. Prem
Jai.
चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
Jai.
राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज धाम की जय। नवद्वीप माया धाम की जय। गंगा की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देव की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय।
Jai.
की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। संकीर्तन की जय। बृहत् मर्दन की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Nande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Om Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudirayet
Tato Jayamudire
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayeshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike
Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha
Sarva Sastra
Sarva Vedaika Satphala
Sarva Vedeka Tatpala
Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya
Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaya
Sarva Lokaika Drikprada
Sarva Lokaika Dvikpada
Sarva Bhagavata Prana
Sarva Bhagavata Prana
Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabho
Śrīmad-Bhāgavata Prabhu
Kalidvanto Didaditya
Kalidvanto Ditatya
Shri Krishna Parivartita
Shri Krishna Parivartita
Paramananda Pataya
Paramananda Pataya
Prema Varshi Aksharayate
Premavarshi Aksharayate
Sarvada Sarvasevyaya
Sarvada Sarvasevayaya
Shri Krishnaya Namostume
Shri Krishnaya Namastume
Madhyeka Bandho Matsangin
Mateka Bandho Matsangi
Madguru Manmahadana
Madguru Man Mahadana
Mannistaraka Madbhagya
Mannistaraka Madbhagya
Madananda Namostute
Madananda Namostute
Asadu Sadhu Tadain
Asadu Sadhu Tadayin
Ati Nichocha Katakara
Atini Chodakara
Anamuncha Kadachinmam
Anamuncha Kadachinma
Premna hritkantayos spura.
Premna hritkantayos spruha.
So we are in canto number 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter number 31. Narada instructs the Prachetas, and we are in text number 11. Shrutena tapasa vakim
Shrutena tapasa vakim
vacho bischitta vrittibihi
vacho vichita vrittivihi
buddhya vakim nipunaya
buddhaya vakim nipunnaya
balenendriya radasa
balendriya radasa
Shrutena tapasa vakim
Shrutena tapasa vakim
vacho bischitta vrittibihi
vacho vichita vrittivihi
buddhya vakim nipunaya
buddhaya vakim nipunnaya
balenendriya radasa
balendriya radasa
Shrutena tapasa vakim
Shrutena tapasa vakim
vacho bischitta vrittibihi
vacho vichita vrittivihi
buddhya vakim nipunaya
buddhya vakim nipunnaya
balenendriya radasa
balendriya radasa
Shrutena tapaso vakim
Shrutena tapasa vakim
vacho vischin vritibhihi
vacho
vacho
vichita
bischitta
vrittivihi
vrittibihi
buddhaya vakim nipunaya
buddhya
buddhaya vakim
vakim nipunaya
nipunnaya
Blendriya Rahaso
balendriya
balenendriya
radasa.
radasa
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shrutena tapasa vakim
Shrutena
Shrutena
tapasa
tapasa
vakim
vakim
vacho vischitta vrittivihi
vacho
vacho
vischitta
vichita
vrittibihi
vrittivihi
buddhaya vakim nipunaya
buddhya
buddhaya
vakim
vakim
nipunaya
nipunnaya
balendriya radasa
balendriya
balenendriya radasa
radhasa Shrutena tapasa vakim
Shrutena tapasa vakim
vacho bhischitta vrittibihi
vacho vischitta vrittibihi
buddhaya vakim nipunya
buddhya vakim nipunaya
balendriya radhasa
balenendriya rajasa. Anybody else would like to recite? Okay. Let's move to the word to word. Shrutena,
Shrutena
by Vedic education.
by Vedic education
education
Tapasa,
tapasa
by austerities.
by austerities
austerity
Va,
va
or
or
him.
him.
What is the meaning?
What is the meaning?
meaning
Vacho bihi,
Vacho bhihi
by words.
by words
word
Chitta,
chitta
of consciousness.
of consciousness
consciousness
Vrittibihi,
vrittibihi
by the occupations.
by
by
the
by
the
the
occupations
occupation
occupation
Buddhya,
buddhaya
by intelligence.
by
by
intelligence
intelligence
Va,
va
or
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 kim.
kim.
What is the use?
What
what
is
is
the
the
what is the
use?
use?
use
Nipunaya,
Nipunya
Nipunaya,
expert.
expert
expert,
Balena,
balena
Valena
ah,
by bodily strength.
by
bodily
bodily
strength.
strength.
Indriya Radasa,
Indriya Dasa,
Radhasa,
by power of the senses.
by
By the power of the
power of the
senses.
senses.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities, the process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, and the power of the senses? Kindly repeat. Without devotional service,
without devotional service,
service,
what is the meaning of severe austerities?
what is the meaning of severe austerity?
austerity,
The process of hearing,
The
The
process
process of hearing,
of hearing,
the power of speech,
the
the
power
power
of
of
speech,
speech,
the power of mental speculation,
the
the
power
power
of
of
mental speculation,
speculation,
elevated intelligence,
elevated intelligence,
strength,
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 and the power of the senses.
and the
the
power
power
of the senses.
Purport, kindly hear. From the Upanishads, Mundaka Upanishads, 3rd canto, 2nd chapter, 3rd verse, we learn, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhyo, Na Medaya Na Bahuna Shrutena, Yem Evasya Vrinute Tena Labhyas, Tasyaya Atma Vivarnute Tanum Swam. Our relationship with the Supreme Lord is never advanced by simple study of the Vedas. There are many Mayavadi sannyasis fully engaged in the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and Upanishads. But unfortunately, they cannot grasp the real essence of knowledge. In other words, they do not know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What then is the use in studying all the Vedas if one cannot grasp the essence of the Vedas, Krishna? Krishna confirms in Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter 15th verse, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyaha. By all the Vedas I am to be known. There are many religious systems wherein penances and austerities are greatly stressed, but at the end no one understands Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, there is no point in such penance, tapasya. If one has actually approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he does not need to undergo severe austerities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is understood through the process of devotional service. In the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, devotional service is explained as Raja Guhyam, the king of all confidential knowledge. There are many good reciters of Vedic literatures, and they recite works such as the Ramayana, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes these professional readers manifest very good scholarship and exhibit word jugglery. Unfortunately, they are never devotees of the Supreme Lord. Consequently, they cannot impress upon the audience the real essence of knowledge, Krishna. There are also many thoughtful writers and creative philosophers, but despite their learning, if they cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are simply useless mental speculators. There are many sharply intelligent people in this world, and they discover so many things for sense gratification. They also analytically study all the material elements, but despite their expert knowledge and expert scientific analysis of the whole cosmic manifestation, their endeavors are useless because they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as our senses are concerned, there are many animals, both beasts and birds, who are very expert in exercising their senses more keenly than human beings. For example, vultures and hawks can go very high in the sky, but they can see a small body on the ground very clearly. This means that their eyesight is so keen that they can find an eatable corpse from a great distance. Certainly, their eyesight is much keener than human beings, but this does not mean their existence is more important than that of a human being. Similarly, dogs can smell many things from a far distance. Many fish can understand by the power of sound that an enemy is coming. All these examples are described in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If one's senses cannot help him attain the highest perfection of life, realization of the Supreme, they are all useless. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahrujatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna,
कृष्णा
Krishna
कृष्णा
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Hare,
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
कृष्णा
Krishna
कृष्णा हरे
Krishna,
हरे
Hare Hare,
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama,
राम
Hare Rama,
राम
Rama
हरे
Hare Hare,
हरे हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
Krishna,
कृष्णा
Krishna
कृष्णा
Krishna,
हरे
Hare
हरे
Hare,
हरे
Hare
राम
Rama, Rama Rama,
हरे
Hare Hare.
हरे. So today's verse, 4th canto, 31st chapter, text number 11. Shrutena tapasa vakim vachobhischitta vrittibihi buddhya vakim nipunaya palanendriya rajasa. Without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities, the process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, and the power of the senses? So, today's verse that we are looking into is in the last chapter of the 4th canto. So, the Prachetas, after returning from the austerities that they were performing at the instructions of their father Prachini Bahishat, they come back to the kingdom and they have been ruling for thousands of years. And even though they had already met great personalities like Lord Shiva and the Supreme Lord himself when they were in their going, Lord Shiva before they went to perform their austerity and Lord Vishnu at the end of it, it appeared as if they had forgotten that knowledge. And then, having again remembered the Supreme Personality of Godhead's blessings that they received, they left their home and they went to the seashore where the great liberated sage Jajali was there. And after inquiring from him and perfecting their spiritual knowledge and becoming perfect in Krishna consciousness, they sat in meditation on thinking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead in mystic yoga. As they were practicing this, the great sage Narada arrived, and when Narada Muni appeared, the Prachetas properly worshipped him and began to ask him many questions. And of that, the main point that they raised was kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we may cross the dark nations of material existence. So, in response to the questions raised by the Prachetas, Narad Muni started replying, saying that when the living entity begins to engage in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then his entire life becomes perfect. And then in yesterday's verse, it talked about the different kinds of births that the living entity takes. The first through the father and mother. The second, through the initiation by the spiritual master. And the third, when takes place when the living entity is given an opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. And at the end of that verse, it says, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. And therefore, in continuation of that, today's verse says that without devotional service, what is the power of austerities, the process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, and the power of senses? So, if we may consider this, what is being said over here? The thing is that people may do everything right in their life. They may perform their duties properly. They are responsible. They may even become spiritual. Yet they feel something is missing in their life. They feel a sense of incompleteness. So the question is, what is that missing element which makes everything meaningful? What is it that makes everything complete? So Bhagavatam very directly fulfills this answer. Actually, it comes in a few verses down, where it says that ultimately it is the service to the Supreme Lord that is which makes it complete. So in text number 14 of this chapter, it says, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Of course, it satisfies everything. So the question is, we understand that if we want to nourish every part of the plant, then we have to water the root of the tree. Or if you want to energize every part of this body, then you have to feed food to the stomach. In that same way, by serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically satisfied. The question comes is, why should I not water all the other parts? Why should I not water every leaf, twig, branch, everything? What happens if I do that? The answer is, it will be materially exhausting, it will be thoroughly inefficient, and ultimately ineffective. If we do not water the root, but if we do everything else, what will happen? There will be nothing. In the same way, trying to satisfy the various parts of the society, the various members of the family, the various senses and the mind that we have, all separately, ultimately leads to frustration. But if I look at what is to be satisfied, the Supreme Lord, then if I do that, everything is harmonized. It is like, in today's analogy, if we want to take, we have a mobile phone. I put so many useful apps in it. I keep them all updated. I keep everything. But if I don't charge the phone, then there is no use, because without charging the phone will not work. All the apps may be very good, but without that phone being charged, they cannot actually do. In the same way, all the effort that one may put is not going to be greatly useful. So in the first canto, second chapter, 8th verse, it says, Dharmaspanastita pumsam vishvaksena katasu yah notpadayet yadirathim shrama evahi kevalam. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So even if one performs his duties perfectly, he ticks all the boxes, he performs everything according to what is given in the scripture. But if it does not arise, if it does not make devotional service arise in the heart, then all those activities are shrama eva hi kevalam. They are completely useless labor. So a person may be morally upright, follow all the religious rituals, may be successful professionally, socially, so many ways, but he is unlikely to have any satisfaction, and there will be no connection or transformation. Why? Because the root, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the root is not watered. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is not satisfied through devotional service. So all the activities he takes up are Shrama eva hi kevalam. Nothing will actually work. So, in a similar way, in 10th canto, 14th chapter, 4th verse, it says, "My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats up an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble." So when the grain has already been taken out and only the husk is left, how much ever we try to beat the husk with whatever kind of implements that there may be, one cannot get the grain anymore. The grain is already gone. In the same way, if without devotional service, which is like the grain inside the husk, if that is not there, and one may put in how much amount of effort, he will only undergo a troublesome process. He will not achieve the desired result, and the only gain he has is his own trouble. This is explained in Brahma's prayers to Lord Vishnu, to Lord Krishna after the Brahma Vimohana Leela. And the thing is that one who goes after self-realization through any other path, giving up devotional service, will not get anything of use. Just like the fool who might think, I will keep on beating the husk. I saw others beating the grain, beating and getting the grain out of the husk. So I will take this husk in which the grain has already been removed, and I'll keep beating it, and I will get something out of it. This is the way in which most people who don't understand what is the ultimate, what is the most central aspect, without understanding it, they go in pursuit of so many things of this world. They will not get anything of use. So all that will remain is that he has spent all his energy for nothing. It is like, if you want to take another analogy, you can say, if there is a door and you've got a key, but that key actually does not open the lock to the door. But if you put the key inside the keyhole and keep turning it, what will happen? You will spend a lot of energy. The key will not open the lock because that is not what it is meant for. That key is not meant for opening that lock. So it will not open it. Ultimately, with all your energy, if you start pushing it, the key may break and the whole thing may become unusable. So the point is, it is not that there was not determination, there was not effort on the part of the person trying to open the door. Without the right key, how much ever determination and effort that is put in will not solve the issue. So unless one knows which is the right key to open the lock in that door, how much effort he does is useless. So How do we know what is that right key to open? Bhagavatam again defines it. First canto, second chapter, sixth verse, it says, Savai pumsam parodharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation for all humanity is that by which men can attain to the loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterpreted to completely satisfy the self. So, if one does not take to the path of attaining loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, one cannot achieve complete satisfaction. So, unless one can take to this aspect, one cannot achieve what is the highest. It is not just the activity, it is not just the knowledge, it is not just the intention that produces bhakti. Bhakti is produced by devotion to the Lord, to the Supreme Lord alone. Bhakti cannot be arisen for any other personality. Prabhupada very clearly says this. Bhakti should be in relation to the Supreme Lord alone. That is how it should be used. Unless one cultivates this loving devotional service, one cannot know the Supreme Lord. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Only through bhakti can I be known. So, if one does not cultivate bhakti, and if he tries to utilize all the other processes may help. Karma may help to purify. Jnana may help to clarify the knowledge. Yoga may help to discipline the mind. But if there is no connection to the Supreme Lord, all these things may not result in the highest. One who does not take to bhakti, who does not connect to the Supreme Lord, all the other things are not there. So that is why Krishna again says in the Bhagavad Gita, Vasudevam sarvamiti sa muhatma sudurlabha. That person who takes to the point that Krishna is everything and surrenders unto him, that person is very, very rare. So this very clearly points out that bhakti is not one thing amongst many things that we can do. No. Bhakti is that central activity, the sole activity that the living entity has to engage in the service of the Supreme. That is the only way it can do. So, if a person is engaged or wants to become a doctor, that is his ultimate goal. He has to pursue it properly through all the different aspects. So he has to attend school, he has to attend university, hear the classes, write the exams, do everything. But ultimately, if after doing all of these things, does not understand that why he took up this process to do all these things was because that he thought that he will use the aspect of having this medical knowledge to serve the people. If he does not do it, what is the purpose? So we can take all processes, do everything, but if we do not have ultimately bhakti, then everything is useless. All the other things are the steps, but the ultimate is to realize Krishna and serve him. And bhakti is the only way to do this. If bhakti is not actually coming out, what is the purpose of all of these? And how that bhakti has to be, that is also defined in the verse. It must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Meaning, we serve Krishna for Krishna's pleasure, not wanting anything for ourselves. And there is no question of cessation of this. It is not that I do bhakti for 2 hours in a day and that's it. No. It is uninterrupted. It has to be performed every second of the day. That is the way that the great devotees always did it. Unless one can take to this unmotivated, uninterrupted bhakti or devotional service, one's heart can never be satisfied. And certainly, this bhakti does not arise based on any other qualification. It is not by one's birth, not by wealth, not by intelligence, not by the spiritual master that you have chosen. No, ultimately, the person in whom bhakti arises is given bhakti by the devotee who already has it. So devotion alone is what comes out. Devotion in the heart of another devotee is the cause of arising devotion in the heart of yourself. And all the processes that are there can help to enhance. And we have to do these. Just as Prahalad Maharaj says, the 9 processes of bhakti, we have to engage in these processes of bhakti. Something that is tangible, something that is which we can touch and feel effectively. That has to happen. It is not some abstract science. It is there. It is for us to take. It is for us to use to transform ourselves, to transform our consciousness. That is the primary aspect of bhakti. Unless one can engage in the processes of bhakti, one can engage in trying to serve the Supreme Lord for his pleasure without seeking anything else and serving him always. One does not come to that platform where one is completely satisfied. That is why in today's verse, it is very clearly mentioned what is the use of all of these other things. Severe austerities, the process of hearing, the power of the speech, the power of mental speculation, elevated intelligence, strength, power. We can give so many examples of people who do severe austerities. We have got so many examples in Bhagavatam. We've got persons like Hiranyakashipu. He did very severe austerities, but he did not have devotional service. And what happened? He became very proud. He wanted to stop actually devotional service. What is the power of mental speculation? There are many, many people of this world who do not understand what is the ultimate purpose of Vedas or knowledge. As Prabhupada quotes in the purport, Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyaha. The purport of the Vedas is to understand that Krishna is the ultimate destination of all of it. When a person does not get to know it, what is the use of this mental speculation? This remains a speculation. They just think maybe this, maybe this, maybe this. That's what they go after. They cannot achieve the highest aspect. And as Prabhupada writes, what is the use of the power of the senses? Varieties of living beings have got senses which are much better than our own senses. Prabhupada gives the example of the eyesight of the eagles and hawks, or the power of smell of the dogs, or the power of hearing of the fish. They are all much better than us. But does their living actually make any usefulness? If we do not do the aspect that is mentioned over here, if we do not cultivate this devotional service, what is the use of such a living? 99.99% of human population just exists. They come and they go. they do not understand what is the purpose. Without understanding the purpose and just going through life as it is just existing. Perhaps the trees have got a better existence. They at least provide some oxygen for other living entities. The human beings come and go and create problems for everybody else. So therefore, there is no point in having these senses, mind, intelligence, if we cannot utilize it in the service of the Supreme. That is the ultimate purpose for which these have been given. So the point herein is, if all of these are given but they are not utilized, that means it is similar to in an organization there may be many departments headed by many people, but if there is not that unifying CEO who can drive the utilization of all these departments towards achieving the mission of the entity, or if there are many arms of the government having different activities, if there is not the head who can achieve towards serving the people, then all the activities of these are going to be disparate. There is no use. Nothing will be aligned. Unless in the same way, we may have so many opulences that are given to us. Everything that is given by the Supreme Lord. If we cannot utilize those opulences in the service of the Supreme, then everything, all these opulences given are practically useless. Unless everything becomes harmonious with Krishna being in the center and utilized in serving him through the process of bhakti, all of these are ultimately useless. So Krishna here, Narada very clearly defines that without devotional service, all of these are ultimately useless. That is why we have to look at all of these. See, what Bhagavatam is telling us is that it is not that these are individually useless, but if they are not utilized in the service of the Lord, they are useless. So one has to take up some austerity in their lives. One has to have some charity in their lives. One has to utilize the senses, but all of this in the service of the Supreme. So each of these individual things, without the central point of connectivity of service to the Supreme, are useless. Therefore, one has to build that central aspect in their lives. And that central aspect can be built by serving the Supreme through the variety of engagements that are possible. That is the ultimate purpose of life. And without that, one is unable to actually proceed further. So one may ask, why should we do this? Because this is what Krishna wants. Because this is the only thing that he is looking for. So in the 11th canto, 14th chapter, 20th verse, Krishna says to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. None of these activities can bring any pleasure to the Lord. One who practices Shravanam and Kirtanam, one who practices glorification of the Lord, that unalloyed devotional service alone brings Krishna under the control. Krishna is wanting to actually serve those devotees who, out of such pure love, want to serve him. As he says here, these devotees who are acting out of such pure love bring me under that control. We say Krishna is independent, but here Krishna tells, I am not at all independent. I am under the control of my devotee. Krishna says this. So there is no need to complicate our service to Krishna. We don't need to do all these other things. If we just engage in the service of Krishna, everything else is automatically achieved. Therefore, one has to take to the devotional service of the Lord. That is the thing that is actually required. So, as it says in the last sentence, if all of these do not help to attain the highest perfection of life, that is the realization of the Supreme, they are all useless. So one has to bring all of these ultimately in the service of the Supreme. That is what is attaining the real purpose of life. That is attaining self-realization. That is the message of today's verse. So just going back is that today's verse says that we have to engage in devotional service, otherwise there will not be any satisfaction in ourselves. And for this, we have to actually do is to serve the Supreme Lord, which is like watering the root of the tree. If we do not water the root of the tree, but try to water every leaf, twig, branch of the tree, yes, you might do all this effort, but this effort remains ultimately ineffective. Therefore, if one does not perform activities which makes devotional service arise in their heart, all that endeavor is ultimately useless labor. Therefore, if one can take to the exclusive bhakti, ananya bhakti of the Lord, that activity alone is enough, because it actually comprises, it is the culmination of everything. Bhakti is the pinnacle of all other activities, and it includes the results of every other activity. And therefore, everyone should perform Bhakti Yoga. No one is bereft of this qualification to perform Bhakti. If it is the birthright of every single living entity, it is the inherent quality of the living entity to serve the Supreme. Therefore, one has to take to the service of the Supreme through the variety of services that might be there. Therefore, when we perform these activities daily, everything can come. Just by hearing regularly, we can get the clarity of the knowledge. By chanting sincerely, we can get the purification of the heart. By serving everyone else, we can get a very softened heart. So all the other activities which are giving you that benefit, devotional service gives us. Therefore, what we have to do is to cultivate this habit of devotional service always. That is the thing. At the end of the day, we should go back and reflect, where the activities that I performed during the day, did it lead me towards the Lord? Was it in engagement of bhakti? Or are these just activities just keeping me busy without arising devotional service in my heart? Am I watering the root, or am I watering the leaves, twigs, and branches? Therefore, we just have to take what is there. When the root is nourished, nothing else is lacking. But when that is neglected, when the root, watering the root is neglected, nothing is sufficient. So these were some of my thoughts on today's verse. Devotees, please contribute, and also if I've made any mistakes, please correct me. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, very wonderful talk, beautiful talk. Service to Krishna is what is the essential theme of all the gopis and all these Vrindavan Vasis. Service to Krishna by 16,108 wives of Krishna is the central point of all the existence, for their existence. And killing of Narkasur was also a service to Krishna. And the Satyabhama did it by using her archery. And beautiful. So it is beautiful. All of it should be. A doctor should also do the same thing while he's doing the studies and doing the duties. Do it as a service to Krishna. Yet karoshi yet snasi yet snasi joshi yet dasi yet tapasyasi kaunte tat kurusha manarpanam. Jai Shri Krishna ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Beautiful, Prabhuji. You are wonderfully explained it. So beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. I hope that I can keep up my consciousness to the level that you always keep up. You are such an inspiration for us. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Pranam.
much. Dandavad Pranam. Always very nice class, and it gives us some material to think about. And like in Bhagavad Gita, the Krishna says that man mana bhava mad bhakto madajivana mam namaskuru mame vishri satyam te pratijane priyo asime. So always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. And I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Bhagavad Gita 1865. So Krishna is saying, and how practically we can do that? By serving our spiritual master or following the instructions of spiritual master, we can all progress. Because if we please spiritual master, then we are pleasing Krishna, and that is devotional service. If our spiritual master is telling us, chant our 16 rounds attentively, follow 4 regulative principles, have association of devotees, hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and do some service, whatever we can do, even a little service in the temple, that makes a lot of difference. And this is how we can actually engage our body, mind, and words, BMW, in the service of Krishna. And that pleases Krishna. The ultimate thing which we all human being is to get love of Godhead. And how we can do? By devotional service. And this is what you have explained in this verse. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for your very nice
Thank you.
aspect.
Thank you, Prabhuji. One more thing I missed out. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam rajam sarvabhavyo mokshayami mastacha. So it is there, the service to Krishna, which is very, very important. Again and again. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, once again.
Thank you.
Sorry to give you some little bit more.
No. Thank you for your contribution, Prabhu. Your contributions are always welcome. Thank you. Okay, if there is no further contributions or questions, comments, we'll finish here. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Guru Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. Gaura
Medhavi Prabhu ki
Hare
jai.
Hare Lord. Hare
Great
Krishna.
Medhavi Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai. Thank you. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Namah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.